everybody, and welcome to the first week of. Oh, wait, no, we did April 1st. Was it April 1st? No. Is this the first week of April? I don't know what time. Easter's just around the corner. Easter's just around the corner. I hope you guys are ready and have all of your Claritin because, tis spring, tis the season. Plants are going to hurt you. But yeah. Other than that, what have you all been doing? Oh, I see that Javion's just jumping out of his chair to show and tell us something.
You got a new romper?
No, I don't have a new romper. Although, if you did want to put a word in, and the folks over at Gen Con, and they could make a Gen Con romper, I would be down for that. No, I have something else to show. So you guys know how I have an addiction to board games and Kickstarters, and I can't stop crowdfunding. Well, those crowdfunding campaigns can often take a long time to show up after you've already backed them. Well, I finally got my copy of Don't Let It Die in the mail.
Ooh.
And I am happy to report that it is awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. You just play as a bunch of Neanderthals, and it's co-op survival, and it's upside down. It's co-op survival, and you just collect a lot of wood for the fire because you can't let the fire die, while you also fight, a bunch of creatures and try to gain enough knowledge about the fire to win the game. Once you understand everything that you can about the fire, you'll be able to craft better tools, or you'll be able to heal people faster, or cook food that you never once knew how to cook before. So it's fun. I had a lot of fun with that one. And then I would like to introduce you to one of my new favorite games of all time. Now, this one's been out for a while, but I just got into it. And I'm starting a league, so if anybody likes what I'm talking about, you want to join my team, it's going to be worldwide championship level gaming. It's called Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza.
Yeah, this game you talked about that last week.
I'm sorry, but I need to talk about it again. It's so much dang fun. You literally are just playing slapjack, but with more rules, and it's the best. You end up slapping each other so hard, and your fingers go numb from the pain, but it's worth it. So that's what I've been up to. That and a lot of Minecraft, I guess.
All the Minecraft. Ooh, very interesting. Thank you for that awesome show and tell. Round of applause for Javion. What about you, Noir? What have you been up to?
Just the usual. Exciting thing for me this week was I figured out how to, me and my partner figured out how to 3D print chainmail. I have a chainmail shirt, but the rings keep falling off, so I'm just gonna make a new shirt.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Well, that's cool. You've been doing a lot of experiments with 3D printing. Last week you showed us your giant dice that you have. Have you painted it yet?
I have not. The reason being is because I thought all my dice were in here, and then I found this guy, and this is already not big enough for the dice that are in it.
Bigger.
So I'm gonna make this even bigger, and I'm still gonna paint this. I might give it away to somebody or something.
You should paint it transparent so that way you can see the dice that are inside it.
Yeah,
paint it transparent.
You know what? Maybe if there's transparent filament, I could print it that way.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Is there threads other than the one that's like the laser printed 3D printer?
So I use clear filament for when I print starships. You can't really see through it completely, but you'll get an idea of what's inside. So that's not a bad idea, Javion.
Ooh, Javion with the ideas. Like it a lot. And then, but yeah, no, definitely looking forward to more of the experience. You have to, if you do the chainmail thing, you have to model for us next week. That's your assignment for next week. All right. Model the chainmail.
And lovely Anita passed me the transparent or the clear filament. So this is what that would look like.
It's a cat.
Wow. It's cute.
Puts these all over the house. I find them everywhere.
Oh, that actually looks very weaponable, dangerous steppable kind of thing. Like if you step on it, those cat ears are gonna puncture your feet. I'm just saying. And then Peter, I heard you have more exciting news. We touched it briefly, but now you're gonna splash around with the announcement, right?
That's right. Yes. I have a new show on Gen Con TV right here on Twitch. It's Monday mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific time. It's called Peter versus the Machine. And it's me playing games strategy games on Twitch. So I play strategy games, digital strategy games, which are,
what the fuck did they do? Who the fuck is this? Who the fuck is Tingus Pingus?
There was that Peter versus Machine hype right there.
That was the machine. The machine was
that was the
coming
machine.
out. That was the
hype.
machine that just came out.
Whew. We apologize on behalf of our sponsors. Okay, I have no idea what that was. That was good. All right, so here we go. I play strategy games, and I'm one episode in. I'm playing Through the Ages right now by Czech Games Edition.
Well, that's great. Well, now we know. So hey, keep looking forward. Also, you should all go in while Peter's doing Peter versus the Machine, and just give him the most hard time backseat game all the way, right, Peter? That's what you want.
That's right. That's
in
right.
Chat.
That's right. I'm teaching the game, but I also want to learn how to be, because I'm really not that great of a gamer. You know, I'm just a gamer, like everybody else. You know, I just play games. So if I am also hoping people will come in and give me ideas on how I can up my game.
All right, very, very exciting. Well, for me, guess what? I wanted to just say thank you. I got this recently from the Gen Con TV family. I wanted to say thank you for my beautiful flowers.
Well, we want to say thank you for bringing your beautiful baby into the world.
Oh, yes, Gen Con baby. It's a Gen Con TV official baby. Now that we're going to start, it's going to grow with the company, and slowly we'll see how old Gen Con TV is by looking at the age of my baby. That's how it's gonna be official. That's how we know. But yes, I do like it. Thank you very much. Also, fun fact, if you guys are really into fishing and Eldritch Horror, I've been really into this game called Dredge. Javion really should play it. Everyone should play it, honestly.
No one should play it. It should fade away into obscurity.
No,
I don't really like fishing, but I have to admit I'm intrigued.
Yeah, so it starts off as this like kind of chill, relaxed, you're just fishing around, resource management, going around in this tugboat, fishing for supplies, but there's like something off about the townspeople, and there's like a little bit of tension about like, Mayor going crazy about throw it back to the sea, kind of went away. Nobody knows why. There's this mysterious stranger that wants you to pick up relics from the ocean. Very easy. And then they just say, don't go out at night. The waters are bad at night. As you know, it's hard. Visibility is hard, and nothing can go wrong when you fish at night, right? Nothing. I highly recommend it for people. The sound quality is really good. I like the art style. It's a hit and miss for people with the art style, but if you want, like, if you're really into like kind of fish Tetris and quick time events kind of thing, and also just there's no real time pressure to the game. You finish it when you finish it. And if you want to focus more on the story or not, I think I'm almost like I think I'm right at the pinnacle where the ending is. So I won't give any spoilers, but I really just recommend it. Recommend.
I kind of want to just play it because it seems like it's hated so much.
Yeah, I want to play just so we can all talk about it while Jake sits there and goes like
No, it's just a thing. We know that Javion's favorite thing is when it deals with tentacles in the deep sea. That's what Javion super loves. If anybody's wondering if you want to give Javion something, it would be deep sea horror.
So what about this board game news that I hear so much about? Let's talk about some board games, huh?
Yes, all right. Well, I kind of wanted to cheer you up a bit, just because we have some. Starting off the bat, we do have some unfortunate news. Peter, you're going to go ahead and tell us. That's why I wanted to bring a little smile to her face before heading off with our very serious topic. Starting off, Peter, if you want to go ahead and tell us what's that all about.
Well, this story is brought to us by Alex Meehan at Dicebreaker. Klaus Teuber, the designer responsible for creating Settlers of Catan, has passed away at the age of 70. A press release from Catan Studios confirmed that Klaus Teuber had passed on April 1st following a brief and severe illness. The news comes as a shock, considering the designer had been creating new expansions and versions of Catan that are set to be released later this year. In response to Teuber's death, Catan Studios released a statement calling the Catan creator a legendary figure in the board gaming industry. who had not only designed one of the most well-known tabletop games in modern history, but has shaped the genre of the German game. Will continue to inspire generations of gamers for years to come. Catan studio head Pete Finland said, while Klaus' contribution to the board gaming industry are immeasurable, we will remember him as a kind and selfless human being, an inspirational leader, and most importantly, as a friend. Teuber designed Catan, then called Settlers of Catan, in 1995, having previously designed several lesser-known tabletop titles, such as Barbarossa in 1988 and Hoity Toity in 1990. Catan has become one of the most popular board games released in the past 30 years, winning the coveted Spiel des Jahres award in 1995, the most prestigious award in the tabletop industry, with the series enduring to this day thanks to over 50 expansions, spin-offs, and revised versions of the title published since its launch. Teuber's family has respectfully requested privacy in order to grieve his passing and appreciates the outpouring of support and condolences during this difficult time. Catan Studios encourages players to honor Klaus's memory by being kind to one another, pursuing your creative passions fearlessly, and enjoying a game with your loved ones.
That was a very heartfelt article. Thank you again. I know you already said it, but thank you to Alex Meehan for writing it. I've seen a lot of people posting on social media and all of the other platforms about this tragedy, and we really love Catan. We love board games. We have a lot to thank him for.
Yes.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
an
Well said,
incredible,
Javion.
what an incredible legacy to leave behind. Like
Yeah.
that one person is responsible for so many hours of just levity and happiness. That's
Oh,
incredible.
perhaps the single biggest contributor to the idea of the Euro game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I believe that for a lot of people, a lot of folks, at least in the board game space, Catan is one of the intro games that gets us, of course, other than the basic Monopoly and stuff like that, that like people think, oh, that's a board game. A lot of first people stepping stone is Catan, and you could say he basically brought board games to a big thing. That's why it's so important to a lot of content creators, a lot of people in this board game table space, that like this is the person that made it as an intro, a little stepping point into loving more board games. That is for a lot of folks. So heart goes out to the family. We are going to respect their wishes. Maybe you all should get over this Easter weekend and play some Catan with your family. It'd be a great sentiment to the creator themselves, I'm sure. Speaking of that, we're going to go ahead and switch gears. Noir, can you tell me after this how we may get inspired to like play a little bit more within our gaming space?
Absolutely. First and foremost, we want to thank Matt Jarvis over at Dicebreakers. So, inspire your next D&D campaign with Vermis, a guidebook to a Dark Souls-like video game that doesn't exist. Do you remember the classic dark fantasy video game Vermis? Probably not, because it doesn't exist. But it can still inspire your next Dungeons and Dragons campaign. That's because Vermis does not exist in a sense. See, it's a fake video game. The fake video game is the inspiration for Vermis, an art book by independent artist Plastaboo that masquerades as an official guidebook for the made-up title. I just think that this is such a creative idea, and the artwork for it looks really freaking cool. The first book in the planned series, subtitled Lost Dungeons and Forbidden Woods, includes plenty of gothic aesthetic and moody pixel art illustrations accompanied by evocative text that wouldn't sound out of place from the mouth of a Dark Souls NPC. There's a corpse staring down a well, mesmerized by the reflection of its living flesh. Creepy monsters such as the Stench Champion and Ghost Mother with Newborn. And details on unsettling locations from the Silver Swamp to the pestilent mines, along with the known gods of the universe. There's a lot of cool ideas and lores. I kind of consider this like a book of prompts for ideas to put into your game. But finally here, Plastaboo cites old school dungeon crawlers as a major influence on the book. seen in its stark use of black, white, red, and yellow, uh, recalling both classic fantasy illustrations and retro video game art. Fans of Elden Ring, Berserk, and World of Horror, as well as the likes of TTRPG, Morkborg, or even Final Fantasy, will be right at home. So definitely give this a look if you need a couple of inspiring ideas for the things that you want to put your players through, especially if they make fun of your NPC names and you need to punish them.
When you said stench champion, the first thing I thought of was a dog that I had that we actually called like a really stinky dog. I don't know why that like popped up in my head, but like immediately after you said, I was like, oh, I have my own stench champion, or at least I used to anyway. This reminds me a lot of Morkborg, actually. Just some of that like dark sort of gothic horror, kind of gritty, evil looking stuff. You know what I mean?
No, I feel that. I mean, I would love to have stats on your stinky dog.
Yeah. Right.
Peter, any thoughts about this?
No, but I like I'm also intrigued by the dog angle. You know, it's like anytime you go adventuring, you need a dog. So hey,
yeah,
you know, the dog's smell will attract the monsters. They go after the dog, and you protect the dog and attack the monsters from behind. It's a good plan.
I just got one thing to say. Have you ever tried to sneak up on a dog? I mean, every adventuring party needs a dog. Okay, we're drifting way off topic.
Oh yeah, no worries.
I wanted to say, this really like made me think of how the Witcher card game got made. How it was like a fictional thing, and people just loved it so much they actually became like a real thing. And now,
Gwent.
Yeah, Gwent. There you go. Yeah. I think about like how people just like conjure their own, things into being just from like having it be popular enough. So yeah, I hope Vermis goes the same way and gets like fully built after this.
Yeah, no, I totally think that like when you get the ball rolling, you can definitely, JVN, I like your idea with like just getting things started in a set amount of things, right?
Yeah. Are you talking about the new starter set for War Machine that's coming out?
Oh wow! Tell me more about it.
Well, I'd be happy to. So for those of you who don't know, War Machine is a premier tabletop miniatures game. It was really, really popular when it was called Hordes, but then it got a revamp and was called War Machine, and it's still going. It's an army building game, much like Warhammer, but it's got a completely different set of mechanics to it. While you're still painting miniatures and fighting with your monsters on the board, there's a lot of new things that can happen. And it looks like there is a starter set being revealed by Privateer Press called War Machine MKIV, the starter set. It's going to have a lot of new things for players who want to jump into this new expansion to War Machine. And it's going to hit retail in July of 2023 this year, so you won't have to wait too long for it. So the Brine Blood Marauders, they are a group of pirates that raid the coast of Imoran from the Gulf of Signar to the Wineless Wastes. Ooh. These seafaring trolls seek their fortune by pillaging settlements and exact revenge for the injustices of the nations of men that brought upon their kinfolk. So you get 22 miniatures, which is enough models to play a 50-point game. And you also get Captain Firequill, a reef troll, a deep-born dire troll, 2 Marauder crew units, and much, much more. The whole box set retails for about $200, but you get plenty of stuff to build your starter set for your army. Although, like many miniatures games, you want to have a box set to start your own army, but if you want to play with somebody else, they have to get their own starter set as well. Or you could just go to your local game store where they've got setups for miniatures gaming and see who's around playing War Machine and see if you can get a game going that way. A starter set is always just a gateway to more gameplay later down the line, and you just end up building on the starter set to build a full army of your own creation, of your own design. Now, if you're interested, definitely check out the article by Jeffrey Dome Sanchez on ICV2 that's linked in the chat below, and you can check out all the miniatures unpainted that you're going to be collecting from this set. So if you're looking for some more Warhammer-like things, and maybe you haven't tried War Machine yet, or if you're just really excited to get a bunch more sets for a friend of yours that you want to get into War Machine, this is a great way to get started on that. Once again, it will be releasing in July of 2023.
Thank you so much for that intro. Yeah, mini painting sets. There are other sets you can paint other than Warhammer. Bam! Just putting it out there for folks if they wanted to know. As a quick side note, before we hop into the next article, stick around right after here because we got a very exciting interview with Emma Panda. You may have heard we were talking about them last few weeks ago about their campaign of all witches all the time. And if you want to hear more about that, stick around to after we do all of our headlines and Kickstarters and all that galore. Now to jump into the little unfortunate news. If anybody was excited a few weeks ago, we talked about Dungeons and Dragons getting DLC for Minecraft that you can play in. And as a 4-player campaign, you can go in, jump into a world of Minecraft, and especially Javion and I were very excited about taking those texture packs and maybe applying it to our own server. Well, they just told us a heartbreaking news that they said no. They slapped our hands and said, no, you can't have all these special things. This is only for ours and ours alone. Mojang is, cutting out a good chunk of territory and saying this only stuff applies to our DLC and our standalone. You can still play and you can look amazed, but you can't bring it to your own server. And so that's all the sad news I have for that today. But I don't know, maybe if not saying that anybody would, but if any of those independent Minecraft texture people who do mod packs, were to you somehow look and watch the thing and maybe make something very similar, but not call it D&D, maybe like high fantasy like the mod pack. Just saying.
They turned Pokemon into a game you could play on Minecraft. I'm sure they could do the same thing for D&D.
Did they say why you can't use the stuff?
It's just saying that they're very like how they all the setting. It's like it'd be weird to have a mimic in the Minecraft universe. Is how they're trying to some of the creatures they have don't necessarily work with the Minecraft thing. It's just more or less they want it to be an in-house experience and not something they want other people to bring in. They wasn't really quite as detailed, at least from my understanding about it. Maybe they'll have more details later on. Just for now, they're just like, no, this is just for our little thing. Maybe they just want it so you can buy. It'll encourage people to buy the DLC as this is the only way you can play it and do it. That would be my understanding for it. But yes, I think all of these things of what assets belong to where is very political and maybe too political for me. What about you, Peter? Since you're more the business mind, can you get into the politics of things?
I do get into politics of things. Yes. In fact, I have a story for you that was brought to us by Will Niebling via ICB2. Modifius Entertainment is producing Power and Pawns, the Emperor's Court. It is a new sourcebook for its Dune Adventures in the Imperium role-playing game. Power and Pawns focuses on the political machinations and scheming in the known universe and the homeworld of the Emperor Kaitan. The 144-page hardcover book offers suggestions and ideas for players and game masters to run campaigns in which the players become leaders of their houses and jockey for position in the imperial court. It also features a complete adventure called Blood and Riches that challenges players to forestall a civil war by negotiating between two houses. In addition, Power and Pawns has new player character options, including the infamous, and this is what I really want to check this out, the Sardaukar, yes, and the face dancers of the Talaxu, and the Jainaz Sword School, and the Suk Medical School. These options include new talent, skills, and drive options for players to customize their characters. Powers and Pawns, The Emperor's Court, is set to release in June with an MSRP of $48. So, I am once again kicking myself for never having played in either of the Dune RPGs that have been published. The version from 2000 by Last Unicorn Games, who I'm really good friends with those guys, but we just never got around to playing the game. At least not with me. I'm just saying, Hey, Christian, if you're listening, Owen, we should really play this sometime, or the more recent version from Modifius. So, but this announcement really makes me want to correct that deficiency in my geek scorecard, because diplomatic intrigue is a great topic and a difficult one to pull off. So this title is doubly interesting for me.
Oh no, thank you about all that. I feel like Dune is definitely making waves as their own thing, especially the Dune movies, Dune board games. It's all about the spice. All about the spice. We could
Spice
definitely
must flow.
spice must flow. And I
Spice
feel
must-
like, other
Spice is
things.
life.
Spice is life. And it will make us mighty along with it, right, Javion? Very mighty with the spice.
Mighty. Mighty, much like Mighty Board Games, who actually helped us with this next headline that we have here. Thank you to Jeffrey Dome Sanchez once again for ICV2. So there was a board game called Hamlet. You might have heard of it. It was actually kickstarted not too long ago. Well, now it's getting its retail release. It is the newest game from Mighty Boards LLC. It's a tile placement game. And it looks like it's coming out this quarter 2 of 2023. In it, you compete to turn a little village of Hamlet called Hamlet. It's not a hamlet called Hamlet. It's a village called Hamlet into a bigger town. So you're placing tiles in a sort of communal style, constructing buildings that everybody's going to end up using to create materials. So it's got a lot more of like a civilization vibe, you could say. You're trying to refine your resources, earn money, and make plenty of deliveries in order to earn the most points and win the game. So the whole time you're trying to just go from being small village to a fledgling town. And it's all about like developing from very little, like humble beginnings to like a large sprawling village that everybody is working on at the same time. So it's got a different feel to it than other city builders or village management games that you might have played before. The tiles that you use are even irregularly shaped, but they create these interconnecting paths so that the village forms differently every time you play. It's got a really unique style to it. It's very, very adorable to look at because you got all the tiny little people that you're placing on top of it and tiny little items that you're delivering from place to place and sort of crafting as you play along. So it's definitely something that's been on my radar for a while. I'm so glad to see that it's coming out in retail so that more people get access to it. It's a 1 to 4 player game, ages 10 and up, and it plays either as little as 30 minutes or it can go all the way up to 2 hours, depending on how many players you're playing with, because there's a lot of decision making that goes into every single turn. And it's going to retail for about $50. So if you want to pick up your copy, it's definitely going to be a pretty hefty box with lots of components in it, but it's going to look really great on your shelf. People are going to like, it's going to catch their eye, and you're going to pull it out and then teach the whole thing in about an hour or so, and then just see how long.
An hour.
When do you avenge your father?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, yeah. Where's the wizard that comes into town from time to time and sells trinkets or like gives you more quest items? I don't know. You have to play the game to find out.
Yeah, no, I could see the confusion between the play and then the actual place like that. Thank you again for alliterating what a Hamlet is and not who a Hamlet is.
I
but no,
want to be one of the skulls.
I'll be the witch. Anywho, just moving on from that, because that does look like an exciting game. We have what we're going to be getting into is something that just hot off the presses coming in. You may have gotten some news about it on the Twitterverse. People speaking about D&D Creator Summit. Basically brings on a bunch of news. If you guys, this is big thanks to Daniel Kwan. This isn't going to be something. This isn't from a established news station. This is actually from if you guys do not know who Daniel Kwan is a award-winning tabletop game designer, podcaster, cultural consultant. He's really big about advocating for representation of like Southeast Asians and such. He's just really awesome human being. Also has done a couple of things for D&D themselves as like extra like what is it called? I can't pick up the actual like not splat book, but Never mind. He's done other like expansions for D&D and such, so he knows what you're talking about. This is just, I'm saying this now because Daniel Kwan is just the as we were stating a little bit earlier, the creators. This is the WotC held its first D&D Creator Summit, and it's more of what they call a active listening event that they wanted to do with the people who play D&D, especially content creators, and just making sure that they don't necessarily have a tone deaf ear. We can still see it is a work in progress as we go along. We have very strong comments about it, but overall, it's more of ways that D&D can or WotC can improve these events in further on. So the event was held around the weekend or last weekend. A lot of people are going to be talking about it now because there was an NDA that has just expired since yesterday. So we will probably get more and more trickle of people's opinions about the event. It was held around 30 folks attending live with another 90 attending virtually. One of the comments that people have made is that if it was going to be a digital event, especially because majority of the people attended virtually, that maybe they could work on having a better stable connection so people can get all the information versus only getting partial the information as they switched between different sessions between it. That's just, everybody has those growing pains that need to be done. Big thing that they say, WotC wants this event to be an active listening event for the community feedback and criticism. Doxin Dubao with D&D's creator relations said that WotC are committed enough that we're planning, as a quick drop, apparently there's going to be one at Gen Con outside the main event. And this is not going to be a one and done. They want to keep coming to the community and get their feedback on what they can do, live feedback versus something that is typed on screen, just so we can have that more personable opinion. This is going to be a lot to bite down, so I'm going to try to go and dig through the surfaces as much as possible, and we can get opinions as we go through. WotC discussed their plans for D&D Beyond. Basically, they're going to be shutting down their old D&D website and moving all their traffic to D&D Beyond. They noted that it is already, D&D Beyond is already getting 16 times as much traffic as the dndwizards.com. And so they it's an obvious switch. They want to make more tools to streamline play, easy on the or to make it easier to onboard new players and support mobile experiences. And then also the virtual tabletop, the VTT, is early pre-alpha stages, and they outlined their timeline to release the final product coming out in 2025. The VTT is only extended to support D&D and no other RPGs, and I kind of want to know what other people are feeling about that, especially because we do have other places like Roll20 that already provide it to be more than one platform. If anybody wants to say anything about this,
just really quickly, I'm not surprised. It kind of makes sense. They're making their own VTT for their own system. The only concern that I have is you're going to be able to import things directly from D&D Beyond to this virtual table, which means that if I make something homebrew, I should be able to play it on the virtual tabletop. I'm interested about ownership at that point. So, I think there's a lot more questions that need to be answered. I'm happy that they're committing to answering more questions.
All right. But yeah, so we'll definitely dive into more of this subject as probably next week as more people release statements about what they believe their impaction or their opinions of these war. There's additional talks of possibility of AI art or content, and how WotC will be handling still deciding like basically racing D&D and what's going on to discuss in one D&D. In the 2024 rules revisions will be including new prints in all the three core rule books with significant redesigns. WotC themselves are trying to make it clear that it will not be a new edition or 5.5. It's going to be compatible with 5e, even though new core rule books will be fundamentally using different rules. I think they're just trying to make it like they're no longer calling it they're no longer calling it 1D&D. They're calling it the 2024 Core Rules Revision. There's a lot of like placement of names going about. I understand there's a lot of growing rule, especially if they want to make it something that is an ever-growing, changing rules and formats. They're working through it. One of the bigger things that they're noting is that monks are going to be redone to make sure that they're not just Asian class as the generic, like, hey, if you want to put people who are Southeast Asian and such in there. There's a lot of things going on. One of the new PBH will be bigger with 12 classes, 48 subclasses, and 9 species. They're using the term species instead of races. It is a work in progress on if they want to be calling that. I myself would like heritage to be more of the word because species has its own problems and connotations with it. There's just a lot. And one of the they're also introducing, sorry, I'm just trying to go through this. There's a lot of news. We'll have to go probably extend the talk about it next week. Introducing weapon mastery featured in like basically to make weapons, cooler weapons more distinct and not just they hit with 10 D4 kind of thing. The bigger thing and controversy that people have been talking about is something I understand may have been fallen on like a little tone deaf, in my opinion, is that the quoting Jeremy Crawford said something that was very cryptic and needed more explanation because how they left it out wasn't really great to a lot of the community members. This is a direct quote. Frankly, we are not comfortable and haven't been for years with the with any of the options that start with half. The half construction is inherently racist, so we simply aren't going to include it in the new player's handbook. That being said, that's the intro to saying that they are going to be taking half elves and half orcs out of the new player's handbooks. My question, especially somebody who is Filipino Chamorro, could you maybe clarify that a little bit better? Because that is a little bit tone deaf. I understand. Maybe it was more of like how, what is considered the other half? Why don't people just say like, you know, I am elf orc or something? But me personally sitting, I know it's not equivocal to the real world about the difference between orcs and elves and ethnicity here in like the real actual world, but making a player choose what like one determined side that they are, like, oh, you can't be a half, you have to either be an orc or an elf or an orc or any other race that half with is just not sitting right in my book. But yeah. That we'll have to cover that next week just because it's a lot to talk about. I just kind of wanted to start the thinking process of that in any case. But yeah, no, I just wanted to go ahead and put that on the table. One of the things, hold on one second. Oh yes, but yeah, we'll go ahead and talk about this and cover it more as we go on. I just wanted to get that as a discussion out there, but you know what? Kind of stepping away from the really serious things until we can like take more time to bite out of it. Let's do some crowdfunder court.
That was great. I love that. I love that so much. That's the one. That's the one we should use. That's the soundbite we should use for all crowdfunding court in the future. Let me just jump into my my crowdfunding campaign real fast. I wanted to shout out for you folks. Project L from Boardcubator Games was thought to be dead and gone, but there is a Kickstarter going on right now, and you can jump on it. So there's a reprint for Project L if you didn't get a chance to buy it. I can't explain the whole game right now. Just take a look at the link. And a new expansion called the Phoenix expansion. You can also get the Ambassador expansions as well, which are Kickstarter exclusive, which means you can never get them in stores or you just have to like trade with one of your friends. I myself am definitely going to kickstart it. The new expansion is only $8, $7, 7 British pounds, I suppose. And definitely check out the Kickstarter if you've never heard of Project L, because I promise you're gonna love it.
Oh, thank you so much for that. You know what? That inspired me so much to be like, you know what? I don't want to hear any more Kickstarters. I want to hear only about our interviewee today, because when we heard about them last week, Emma Panda. Ooh, just you know what? I just want to bring them in. I'm too excited. I want to go ahead and Noir. Can you lead us in, and let's go do some digital singing too. Do intro to the interview intro to the interview.
Well, very excited to have Emma here. Let's get it.
Ooh.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey. How's it going, everybody?
How are
It's
you?
going.
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
We have so many questions for you. Would you like to tell us a bit about what you came here to tell us about? What's All the Witches?
Sure, I would love to. So hi, everybody. I'm Emma, also known as Emma Panada. I use they, she pronouns, and I am the creator and lead developer / game designer for All the Witches, which is a original TTRPG with some deck building mechanics that is currently on Kickstarter. We have 8 days left to our campaign. We were initially seeking to raise $12,000. So far, we're a little over $42,000,
Wow.
which is wild. Yeah, so we crossed an unofficial stretch goal this morning where if we made it to the funny meme number of $42,069, I would get an All the Witches themed tattoo. So now I get to come up with a fun tattoo for my game and get it.
Go.
Well, now that you're on TableTakes, it's really going to take off.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm expecting another $40,000 after this stream. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, first off, it's so great to have you here. I owe you an apology. I've been calling you Emma Panda because my dyslexia is powerful.
Everybody does. Don't worry. Don't worry.
I also sorry because I heard Emma Panda. It's like Panda.
No,
Oh, that's great.
It's all my fault. But I just want to first and foremost ask you, what's the inspiration behind this game? I've had the chance to play it myself, and it's a lovely system that you put together here.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. So this game came about because I made a fan-made system for Final Fantasy. And it was about 120 pages, and it needed reworking and rewrites, editing, and all this stuff. And rather than do all of that, I was like, if I'm going to do something and put all of this effort into it, why don't I make something more kind of original and unique that I can actually bring to like Kickstarter or something and really make something special. And as I was trying to decide what to make, I started seeing a lot of pain from the queer community on TikTok around a certain publication and like universe of books and video games and movies. And seeing that pain and how much people had been struggling with that, because for a lot of queer youth who grew up with that property, it really helped them come to accept and love themselves and kind of find meaning to their purpose. And so when the creator kind of turned around and started betraying the community, it hurt them a lot. It really shook them to their core, and they weren't really sure what to do. And so when I saw all of this, and I was a part of that community as well, but not as deep into it, I decided I wanted to make a very cool and witchy game. Additionally, I've always really loved kind of the idea of a Dungeons and Dragons campaign or a similar campaign where all of the players play like one class, and then you get to really explore the diversity of that class from kind of a story perspective, but also from a gameplay perspective. And the idea of building an entire system around kind of one archetype really intrigued me. And so the two ideas just kind of paired together really beautifully. And then over time, I've just thought of more and more ways to make it unique and cool and interesting and something to just really create something beautiful for the community. I'd love to give them the opportunity to make something that they get to love.
I just wanted to commend you and your whole team on the the Kickstarter campaign. As I was going through it, the only thing I could think of about like just how much I loved it was seeing how many of the witches were not just straight up like white people. I saw the elementals and the celestials and things like that, but I just saw mostly people with like darker skin being featured, and I mean featured all throughout it. And I really fell in love with seeing all of the diversity in not just the characters that you created, but also the team. Can I ask you, what was it like working with them? Like coming together at the start, or like I don't know, the challenges that you guys were facing.
It's been really overwhelming. This is my first uh, kind of large scale TTRPG professional project in the industry. And I joined the larger industry maybe about a year and a half to 2 years ago. So I haven't been around incredibly long. And this project started off with me kind of putting out a tweet and saying, hey, everybody, I'm just, I'm working on this thing. I'm seeking some help with it from kind of professionals who have been around for a while, and please apply. And that got, I think, a little over 100 or somewhere around 150 responses of people who wanted to work with me. And back then, I hired some amazing people. And then also, as I've kind of gone on further in the past year and a half, I've really realized how many like big names applied to that initially that I wasn't aware of. But getting to work with so many experienced professionals and also just immensely talented people has been amazing. A lot of the work that's been done pre Kickstarter has been just kind of me trying to get things together. And as I've been able to get money together basically every month, and just hire writers to help me write little kind of trailers or ideas for regions, or artists to help bring the art to life. They've been extremely helpful, but I haven't gotten to work with them a whole lot quite yet. With this Kickstarter and the money we've raised is now when I'm really getting to be in full swing and work with my amazing team fully. And I'm really excited to just kind of put it all together.
So I have a question for you. I noticed that in your Kickstarter, it talks about, let's see, All the Witches is an original TTRPG with deck building mechanics. So, okay, I have a little experience with both of those categories. So I'm naturally curious to see, to hear about how you have blended basically Magic and D&D.
Yeah, so it's really difficult coming up with a TTRPG system that balances a dice mechanic as well as a card mechanic. For a while, at the beginning, I advertised that I wanted to make this a deck building TTRPG. And as I was thinking about it more and more and more, I had a harder and harder time figuring out exactly how to make the deck building work. Everything I was coming up with felt way too restrictive, and I felt it didn't kind of pair very well for a like TTRPG where it's all about kind of story freedom and being able to kind of do whatever you want. And so there was a period of a couple months where I actually took out like the deck building part of any promotional material or like tweets that I sent out because I wasn't sure I was going to be able to make it work.
I respect
but then,
that.
Yeah, I brought in Brutal Dan to help me with some game design elements, and we had a meeting, and we're really just trying to figure out the deck building parts. And he suggested some great things like using just regular playing cards or cards that cards and devices that people would just have around the house anyway. And with that idea, just the pieces falling together, to have the cards be the action-based economy for the encounters in the system, and also influence kind of aspects of how many spells you can prepare each day and different like abilities you can give yourself in combat by playing special cards and things like that. So I think as people first look at the system, they might be surprised or feel like the deck building is a bit minimal, but as they really get into the system and start playing it more and more, I think they'll be surprised by how well it balances with the other mechanics of the system and how deep it can get.
That's exciting. I love that. Nora, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna agree that it's very intuitive. It's very cool when you have a turn where you could do more things than you could in other RPGs. I'll say it's just you get to feel really like the hero, and it's really cool.
I don't know. I guess I have to deal with the hard-hitting question. All right, if you had to choose a magical discipline as your favorite in this, what is your favorite magical? I know it's a very, 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 controversial subject of your game.
Very controversial. How dare you ask me this question? So for the audience, there are 10 magical disciplines in the game. There's alchemy, conjuration, elementalism, enchanting, protection, illusion, necromancy, transmutation, psychic, and divination. I think if I were to only pick one, I'm always a healing main in the video games that I play. So I think protection does a lot of really cool kind of like bolstering spells and spells that enhance things on the battlefield, and curing and everything is kind of my bread and butter. So I really love that. But in all the witches, you're not really restricted to one magical discipline. As you're playing, you can study all 10 if you want, and you'll just kind of learn those spells, and you'll gain different levels of expertise in different magical disciplines and learn more powerful spells and things like that. So if I was to only play one at the very beginning, I would pick protection, but I'd probably branch into a few other things afterwards.
That's a great answer. And I want to ask my favorite question before we have to let you go. I think we have a couple more minutes. Will you by any chance be bringing all the witches to Gen Con this year?
So I am moving in June to Canada.
Okay.
So I think the first con appearance that all the witches will have is maybe PAX Unplugged in December. My goal is to hopefully have the book done and released by PAX Unplugged, but I've given us a few kind of months of leeway in case we need it. But yeah, that's probably going to be the first big thing.
Okay, that's fair. That's totally fair. I guess we'll just have to be satisfied with the Kickstarter campaign. We'll be able to play it that way.
So I wanted to ask if there was any advice you could give yourself that you know now at the beginning of this process, like what was the hardest roadblock, or if there was something that you could do different about establishing this entire thing, what would it be?
Great question. I think announcing it so early, or that I was working on it so early, was a bit of a double-edged sword. It really allowed me to kind of gather hype and excitement for the campaign, but also I think a lot of people ended up waiting for a very long time and eventually either forgot about it or lost interest, or it just didn't pop up on their like Twitter timelines anymore because it had been a while. And so one thing I would suggest to myself is let yourself lay down the basics, take the time that you need. Don't rush into announcing what you're working on or when the Kickstarter is going to be until you like really have it ready. I think giving yourself 2 to 3 months lead time before Kickstarter is probably the perfect amount. Really start engaging with the community and the indie community, supporting other projects, so that you can get your name out there is some really good advice. And also, I felt there's been a pressure on myself to kind of rush development at times because I've felt bad about having hired people on to help with the project at the very beginning. And then it's been like a year and we hadn't kickstarted yet. And all of them are incredibly patient and amazing and wonderful to work with. And there was never any like hard feelings from them. But I always felt like this internal guilt of I've got to get like everything on my end ready faster. And I've got to like make this all work so that we can get funded and I can pay them and then they can move on to like bigger and better things. But just trying not to rush yourself and really give yourself the time you need to prepare.
Awesome. And that's a tremendous amount of pressure. I'm glad things are turning out the way that they are because this is awesome.
Sounds great. Sounds great.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Super big
Yeah.
congratulations, and I believe that is unfortunately all the time. But Emma, please stick around. We want to just keep seeing your beautiful face while we go through this. And also big congratulations. Not only did you make your Kickstarter goal, you like doubled it. So I just want to give like a really crushed round of applause for that. But yeah, no, thank you for telling us about your project and like, you know, what inspired you. Also giving some tips to folks who maybe also have been inspired by you to how to hammer it out and how to ease their process as well. So folks, that was our Table Takes news. But hey, don't worry, because we got a whole slew of shows here for you. And let me go ahead and do a quick rundown of the schedule. So if you want us to stick around, coming up after this at 3:30, Table Takes game nights, we're going to be playing Horse, Hat, Gun. With of course Critical Misses leading us as what? That's exactly what it is. What's wrong with my intro? It's fine.
We love it. We're laughing
I
out
love
of pure
it.
joy.
It's perfect.
Yes. Anyways, and then right after that at 5 p.m. Okay. Also, this is all Pacific Standard Time because I know Noir will debate with us, but West Coast, Best Coast. That's how we run here. Yes, right after that, we got 5 p.m. Join us with some joyful gaming around Sarah's table. Lovely human being that they are. Continuing the schedule, Mondays we are starting the brand new fresh off of the floor series, PETA versus the Machine at 9 a.m. Peter, thank you so much for taking over for that. And 4 p.m. board games with the brothers Murph. They're brothers, they play board games. What could go wrong? Nothing, of course. And then 6 p.m. we got Dress to Quest. Wednesdays we're at 6 p.m. Actoroki, D&D game set with Chaldea, in the Chaldea world, with DM Mike Boozer to lead us on Thursday, 10 a.m. Blood on the Clock Tower for those a lot of folks who are in the European time zone want to join that. It's a fun game where you trust nobody. And hilarity ensues. 4 p.m. Of course, we got Roll with Rem Alternus. Sorry, words flubbing up. And then, of course, you can join us here with the best show ever, you know, in my opinion, Table Takes and Table Takes game nights in Sarah's table starting at 2 p.m. Thank you for everyone being such fabulous people. Noir, Peter, Javion, and Marcus in the background, and Emma for joining us today. And also thank you to all of you in chat. Of course, if you miss our live show right now, you can check out our VODs here on Twitch or wait 24 hours and, comment on YouTube and tell us how beautiful our hair is. You know, we really like comments like that. If you could leave those, that would be really grateful. And don't forget also to follow Gen Con TV here for more of the best 4 days of gaming all year round. So I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend this weekend. Spring is around. Please take your medication because plant stuff is in the air and such. And have a good one, you guys. See ya.